Hi everyone, it's Russell speaking, and in this tutorial we're going to focus on Picto charts. In particular, we're going to replicate this female figure here. So I'm going to show you three different, four different ways to replicate this figure or parts of the figure. And they've got particular advantages and disadvantages, and you'll be able to use the different ways on other things. So, first one is to choose the ellipse tool and then hold Shift and Alt or Option down and draw out a circle. Now you can see our first problem is that when we're tracing over the female's head, and it's going to happen even more over the body, is that with the solid fill color, you can't see what's going on. So you could actually just make a line around the outside, or you could actually make this object slightly transparent by selecting its transparency over here and adjusting its opacity. Now, if we're going to create a whole lot of shapes that we might combine later, I think it's probably best that we make the whole layer transparent. So if we go into the layer option here, and we target that layer by clicking the little round button and it says click to target. Then we can open up the transparency. Let me just make sure that's deselected. Go to the transparency, and now we can turn that layer down, and we can see through it, and there's only one place that we need to adjust the transparency for everything we're about to draw on this layer, which I've called tracing. So the next approach is to use the rounded rectangle tool, and I'm using the rounded rectangle tool because I'm going to give a little rounded edge to these features. So click and drag, and because this is so small, the fillets are actually rounding right off of the ends, but once we grab these control points here, we can see we can pull them right out, and it's adjusting all of them at once, or you can just select certain ones and adjust them separately. Now you can also do this another way, and we'll do it with this top sort of triangular part here. So I'm going to select the pen tool, and I'm going to start clicking, and I can hold Shift to snap to horizontal, click again, click up to here, say, come across horizontal as well, click there, and then I do want to complete this shape. At the moment there are just lines around this 1, 2, 3 sides, but I want a stroke around the whole thing so it will behave more like a shape and more predictably. So click that, and there we go, we've got a complete shape. Now what we can do here is we can use an effect. So with the shape selected, we can go to Effect, and Stylize. Now be careful, in Illustrator often there are two places that you can find things, and they're not always the same. So we've got Stylize, which is under the Photoshop effects, and we've got Stylize, which is under the Illustrator effects. So this is the one we want, and move across here and go around corners, and we can hit a preview, and you can see at 2 pixels or up, you can see, actually you can go quite a way up. Anyway, 2 pixels is pretty good. Go OK, and we can actually come back into here and get rid of these if we wanted to. These are going to be, I had them all selected so you can see that they've changed them all. So Control Z, and then what I want to do is just make sure that one and holding Shift down, that one are selected, and you can see they look different because they're targeted. Drag it out, and there we go. It's just squared off those top ones and left those ones the same. Right, now the next approach we'll take is once again using the pen tool, but I'm going to rather than trace around the outside of this, I'm going to put a line up through the center. So aiming for the center, hold shift if I want to keep that perfectly parallel or perfectly horizontal, click again, and then hit escape to finish the shape. I'll change the green from being a fill to a stroke, and now I can come across to the stroke and I can make it thicker, say 1.5, and then I can hit the stroke options and say cap the corners with the round end, and now that rounds end with my hand, and then do the corners rounded where they join up here, and there we go. Click that again, and now I've got a pretty good looking figure. Select the whole lot, and then hold shift and alt down and click and drag from one of those corners, and I can make it bigger, bring it across to here. And then I do want to adjust the arms a little bit, and it was gonna be bigger to do this when they were easier to do this when it was bigger. So click and drag that out like that, click the whole thing, use the arrow keys on the keyboard to move it across, give it a nice sort of even dimension here, go into the direct selection tool, which is A, so I'll hit the shortcut A, select just that point, and you can see it's dark and none of the others are. Bring that into there, click this one and bring that in to there. Actually, we can use the arrow keys to move that around as well. And now if I just one last adjustment, gets it pretty much spot on in the middle. Now, these are shapes. This is a line. This is a stroke. So I need to convert this to a shape before I can join them all together. So what I'll do is I will go to Object, Path, and outline the stroke. So that'll give me a line right the way around the outside, and it's now a path. So I've got a path here, of a shape. I've got a shape here, 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 and here. So I'll select them all, and using the shape builder tool, I'll just click and drag through. That connects it, click it there too, and that has got it all together. Actually, it's not selected those two, so I can select the both of them and go Control G, and that groups them together. Now it's still slightly translucent, so if I make sure I've got that tracing layer targeted, I can then go into my transparency and crank that up, and I get the full color effect. Thanks for watching.